Welcome everybody, thanks for tuning in to the loamwolf.com. Today we are going to be going over 3 clipless mountain bike shoes. First off, we'd like to thank competitivecyclist.com, who is our online retail partner, for helping us extend you guys a 15% discount code by using Loam Wolf 15, and also giving us the opportunity to test a lot of products from a lot of different brands and kind of report back to you with our experiences. So that being said, let's get into the shoes. First up, we've got the Specialized 2FO Roost. These shoes retail for $130. We also have the Pearl Izumi X Alp Launch shoe and the Ride Concepts Transition. Now the Pearl Izumis retail for $160, as do the Transitions. So they are $30 more than the Specialized, and have a few more kind of high-end features that kind of justify that little boost in price. So first we'll kind of go into the bullet point details on each of these shoes, just in case you don't want to go to their websites and read about them. And then I'll kind of share with you guys some of the things I did like and some of the things I don't like about these shoes, and which ones are my favorites. So first up, we've got the Specialized 2FO Roost. These have Specialized patented body geometry designation. They do a lot of scientific research, testing, studies of the body and anatomy to really put forth products that they believe are going to reduce the chances of overuse injuries, whether that's knee, hip, ankles, any other joints, by really working on the alignment. The downside to that is, God, these shoes are ugly. They're not so bad from here and this side view, but when you're looking at them from the top, they kind of look like an orthotic. Like there's not much of, I guess, a curve. Like they're really thick in here. So you are paying for some of that body geometry tech in the looks department, in my opinion. Moving on from there, Specialized has cushioned the EVA midsole, offering a little bit of comfort and padding for hard landings, if you need to step off the bike, anything along that nature. So on the bottom, Specialized is using their Slipknot rubber, which has some pretty deep lugs back towards the heel and a little bit lower tread pattern up here at the front. We found these worked pretty well when you did need to walk, if you have to get off and go over any down trees, cross streams, anything like that. Also on the pedals, if you're unclipped, they offer a pretty good amount of grip. The soles are very stiff in this shoe, so walking isn't really great. So if you're doing some trail work, if you are doing lots of hike-a-bike stuff up steep hills, these are very stiff, and I think leads to one of my other complaints from that nylon composite plate that they use. My ankles hurt when I wore this shoe, specifically my bad ankle that I've injured years ago. So I grew up riding and racing and wearing clipless pedals. 2.5 years ago, had a pretty bad ankle injury, which required me wearing like a gnarly ankle brace, and I switched to wearing flat pedal, high top shoes just so I could get some extra support to alleviate any overextension that would render me useless for about a month. And now that I'm going back to clipless again, I'm loving the performance gains and advantages on the trail, but in none of these other shoes did I have soreness in my ankle the day after. Even though they claim that they've got an extended cleat slot, it just felt like the cleat was a little bit farther forward. I tried measuring the placement, feeling where it was, and it didn't actually work out that way mathematically. Like these cleats are back pretty far, but I think just that stiffness in this shoe would give me some soreness in the ankle. So if you are in an area that has a lot of really rocky, rough descending, if you have long downhill runs, that could be something to consider out of this shoe. On top of that, you've got just a simple lacing system, nothing fancy. It works, it's simple, but you don't have the BOA or straps to kind of give you a little bit more of a performance look or feel. Again, it didn't really take away anything other than the fact that you have to lace up a shoe. The upper is pretty durable, it's breathable, I like the material. It's a solid shoe all around. it just wasn't the right shoe for me. Again, the stiffness was kind of the big thing. Walking on side hill off camber stuff, going up, it was too stiff, didn't give me the feel I wanted. So moving on to the Pearl Izumi X Alp launch, probably my favorite looking shoe out of the group. Sadly, there's a couple of key things that really take away from the performance and are why it no longer has cleats in them, and I just don't ride them anymore. So the first being this BOA system. Big fan of BOAs, however, this is a really broad distance for one single BOA to work. So what I found was that the top would be super tight and like really, really tight, but the bottom was still looser than I'd like. And I would, try to kind of manually pull the laces or that lace up from the bottom and cinch the BOA down, but it just would inevitably get a little bit looser down here. So around my toes, I wasn't getting the snugness, the secureness I wanted out of the BOA, but the top was borderline uncomfortably tight. Another issue was that this tongue is not really gusseted or attached to the shoe. So I found that it oftentimes would rock out towards the outside of the shoe and would let dirt, debris, whatever come kind of into that inside portion, which is obviously where your tires are shooting up all the roost and rocks. So those were kind of the two factors that were the deal breaker for me on this shoe. We did share our feedback with Pearl Izumi. They said they appreciated it. I don't know if that means they're going to take feedback from other testers and maybe make a Velcro or a dual BOA system in the future, but unless you've got like pretty thick, fat feet, that might be a real issue for you. I'd suggest trying these on if possible before you make the purchase, or ensure that you've got the ability to return them if you can't snug them up the way you want. So moving on to the highlights of this shoe for people who might have a thicker foot. They've got a Vibram sole, which is awesome. I absolutely loved walking, hiking, moving around in these shoes. The lugged pattern, the smoothness here was great on the pedals. It is a pretty soft, tacky rubber, so grip was really great. I liked the shoes quite a bit. The ventilation and durability are nice. They're not overly breathable, and now in winter, right, that's a nice feature. In the summer, could they be a little warm for some people? Possibly, but I thought they struck a pretty nice balance of letting air through without freezing you out in the colder winter months. They also use an EVA foam midsole. They use a 3/4 length composite shank, so I'm gonna kind of attribute that to why I liked walking around in these a little more than the Specialized shoes. But again, just a really comfortable shoe overall that performed pretty well. The BOA and the tongue issues were kind of the two deal breakers for me. By the way, I love this color, and I couldn't go out on the trail without getting compliments or comments about the shoes. So props to Pearl there. Hopefully we can see a couple of edits in the future to kind of bring those things up a little bit. So moving on to the ride concept transition. They are the heaviest shoe in the bunch. They're also arguably the most aggressive, overbuilt, rugged shoe in the bunch. Probably the shoe I've worn the most, as you can tell by looking at the bottoms of these things. So these are the shoes I wore all year long for our bike park review tour. They are burly. These are kind of more on like the all-around mountain bike trail spectrum. These you could wear full-on downhilling. They've got a super protective toe cap, really stiff protection here. D3O in the insole. D3O is obviously, if you're unfamiliar, a really cool material that stiffens up and hardens under impact and remains kind of soft and pliable in its, I guess, natural state. So we found that to be a huge advantage. These were the most comfortable shoes on long days of descending in the bike park. Our feet were never sore, never tired. We didn't get that crampy arch feeling that some stiffer shoes will sometimes give. Downside is that they're heavy. At 505 grams, they're let's see, these are 367 grams. So you're talking about, 140-ish grams of weight difference. So that is something to take account depending on your riding style and what you're looking for. I really did like the lacing and power strap system. This is not just a lace keeper. Ride Concept says that they do a lot of studies and found that having this power strap over the top of the foot, because this is where most of your foot's energy is pulling on that upstroke. So by having that power strap right there, they're able to keep that shoe tightest where it's most important as you're pulling in that upstroke. So that's nice, and it doubles as a lace keeper. So we found the laces worked pretty well. Obviously, the dirtier they get, the sometimes harder and stiffer they are to pull. So those are advantages to BOA type systems, but hose the shoes off, clean them up, and they're back to running pretty smooth. So overall, a really solid system, something that's simple, easy, and works. As you can see, I started to get a little bit of rub here, but again, these shoes have been through a ton of bike parks, like 8-10 hour days, 200,000 vertical feet of riding. So I've put a lot of time in these shoes, and I still ride them when I go out on all day cross country trail rides, because despite the weight, to me, they're the most comfortable, and to me, that's the most important thing. So a little bit warm, that aids you, I guess, in cold weather and wetter temperatures. You will still get a lot of water coming through here, as we found out the other day on a really wet ride. So you might want to duct tape or close that off if you're going through puddles. But other than that, it's a solid all-around shoe, despite the weight, which could be an issue if you're looking for something real light and cross-country oriented. But yeah, those are my go-to shoes. So hopefully you guys got some good insight and information out of those. If you're looking for a casual, lightweight, yet still performance-minded shoe, the Specialized 2FO could be worth checking out. Again, just be prepared for a very stiff shoe. I mean, it's a casual-looking shoe that kind of offers the ride feel of a more like XC slipper. Like it's got a stiff sole, and you'll feel it. Pearl Izumis, they look great. Love the Vibram sole. The tongue sliding out and the lack of being able to really secure it over the top of the bottom of my foot, I should say, are kind of deal breakers for me there. Ride Concepts, they're heavy, but they are insanely comfortable. They offer a lot of protection. You got D3O here and also in the sole. I mean, that's my favorite shoe. I've been wearing it all year long, and I'll probably keep wearing them until they fall apart and have to get myself another set. So thank you guys again for watching. We want to also extend a thanks to competitivecyclist.com for offering a discount code to our viewers. Make sure you go check their website out if you are in the market for complete bikes down to shoes, components, or other accessories. And use Loam Wolf 15 at checkout for any applicable discounts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got lots more product reviews, travel features, and trail rides from all over. So make sure you stay tuned and check those out. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you out on the trails.